Post. Says we're live.
We are live now. Welcome everybody to Talk Me Off the Ledger for this week. We have with us Jacob Schrader, and I have Beth Melcher from MoneyFit with us as well. And today we are going to talk about maintaining balance as a small business owner and building connection. So often as small business owners, I feel like at times we feel like we're on an island by ourselves, right? Nobody else can relate to what we're going through. Sometimes your social circles don't exactly align with other business owners that can relate to you. And what we want to do though is keep people from feeling like they're on that island by themselves so much, because it's a real drag on small business owners when that happens and they really start feeling it. So Beth, I'll let you jump in here real quick.
Okay.
As you think, what's that biggest piece the small business owners face as we look at this and maintaining balance?
I was going to try to share this on my website, but I can't click at the same time. So
go for it. So share, and then we'll come back. Then we'll dive.
Share it. Okay. Oh, here we go. Doing it. More options. You're the best. Share to a page. MoneyFit. Holy cow. I need to hire a young buck who can help me with all this stuff. Woohoo. All right, cool. Well, most importantly is that I decorate for the holidays. So as a sole business owner, fortunately I have employees who can, in non-COVID season, keep me company. We do everything, right? We do everything from advertising through customer support, through visioning and strategy, which is coming up for us having to do for 2021. But also, I just found out the power went out at my house. So I've got the 16-year-old son calling me going, Mom, what do I do? The power is out. And then I get to talk to you on Facebook. So we're everywhere. And sometimes having someone who understands our journey, because we have to keep smiling and not throw things around the office. How do we stay sane and connect with people? So when you and I were chatting about this before, there are a few pieces that were in my mind. One was what are the buckets of groups that you need to think about every day? For me, it's, family, social, and professional. Those are my three. What are yours?
Amy could join us.
Hey! We thought he could make it today.
I finished my meeting with my client and, 25 minutes, we're done for November. It was good.
Amazing.
Happy holidays.
Same to you. Same to you. Y'all look great. What are we talking about today?
So we are talking about maintaining balance and connection as a business owner and making sure you don't feel like you're on that island all the time by yourself. And we talk about this. This is real things I think all of us feel, right? And that's the thing. I don't think any of us will claim to have the answer to this. It's always a work in progress, right? Because I know all of us have reached out to one another before and felt like, am I the only one here? Like, is this where we're at? Is this life? But yeah, so that's where we were diving into, and Beth was just diving into her main points that she was feeling like are part of that balance.
So I was just going over the groups that I feel that I want to tend to. My family, my non-family social, and my professional groups. And as a mom, because I'm not the primary breadwinner of my house, so my job is always to kind of keep in the back of my mind what's going on with family, kids, Christmas, all that. But also I want to laser beam focus on what's going on in my business. So how do you manage both of those at the same time? My solution for it tries to be compartmentalizing and laying out really specific times of the day in order to truly focus and connect. Because one of the main problems of connection in this, I feel like the electronic age and the Facebook texting age, is that we find that we are everywhere and nowhere all at the same time, because either we're at dinner on our phone or at work thinking about something in our personal life. So step one for me would be separating, but really focusing on each of those three areas for me in very specific sections of my day. Being present,
Good.
present.
And I think that's important, right? Even when you're in your business, it's especially as small business owners, I find it's easy to be working during your day, but being very distracted even while you're at work, right? And many of us, we are high performers, and that's part of the reason we are business owners, right? And we can be really high performers if we focus and concentrate. But so often it's easy to be distracted by everything else, even when you're at work, right? And then the same thing goes for when you're at home or in your social circle. You are going to feel really distant from your social circle if you're not engaging with them, right? And that's some of the things we feel like, oh, they can't relate to me as a business owner, but you're friends with them. Before you were a business owner, you had lots of things in common, and you probably still do. You just have to turn off your business mind for a little bit and foster those connections and build those.
And that's okay. I think it's fine to tell your family that there are certain times of the day you're not going to be available. I think it's time to do email at separate times of the certain times of the day and to create boundaries in your business. I think we talked about that, boundaries.
Yeah, that was last week, wasn't it? When we were talking about making sure you have your family boundaries. Well, it was 2 weeks ago with Thanksgiving, turning things off, and we're going into another holiday. Make sure you make time for that family. Make sure it's important, right? And
yeah. So can I ask you a question, Amy and Jacob, both of you guys? When you are alone running your business in your professional life, what do you do specifically? If you have any tips for people watching, how to stay connected with other professionals and get maybe some worries off your mind or some meaningful education. Like, what does connections mean for you inside of your business world? How do you nurture that?
Well, that's easy. For me, I mean, the two of y'all are you're part of my bigger connections. But it took back a few years ago, it took going to a conference by myself, making an effort to strike up a conversation with the person next to me, which happened to be Jacob. And that opened a whole new world of networking that was right for me and right for my personality. But before that, I had tried other times to do it and didn't quite find those connections. So it takes putting yourself out there, which doesn't always come easy to accountants, but you do have to go and realize it's not a competition. We are here to help and support each other, but you do have to kind of go by yourself and stick your neck out and say, hey, I'm interested in your group. How do I join? There's 1,000 masterminds out there now. Find one. And then once you sign up, like, participate. You have to commit. You can sit there and pay your money to listen all day long, but you have to participate.
well, yeah, so you have to be vulnerable. And I'm going to go and put that word out there. You're going to have to be vulnerable. You're going to have to open yourself up, and you're going to have to be willing to step out there and say, and interject yourself into a conversation, meet somebody, right? You're going to have to put yourself out there, and you're vulnerable whenever you put yourself out there a little bit. But if you go, like Amy said, and just sit back and don't participate and don't engage, you're not going to get anything, right? And yes, at times when you engage, you feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have after the fact, but you're never going to build those connections unless you truly be vulnerable with it. The same way you make friends in real life, do that professionally. Don't be afraid to open up, discuss the problems you're facing. And as business owners, I think it's important to discuss the problems we face, right? So often we think we have to put on this public face that, is impenetrable. Like, we're doing perfect as a business, which the reality is every small business owner has struggles and challenges they face that we have to work through, right? And being open about that allows you to be vulnerable and allows those connections to foster, because shared challenges are one of the biggest ways to make connections. And unless you're willing to be vulnerable and put yourself out there, you're never going to realize you have a shared challenge together.
Bye, Amy. Are you Amy? So I love the fact that the man on our call is talking about vulnerability. So is this a new era or what? I'm very It is hard for everybody to say, I don't know how to do that. Will someone please show me? There's this great book called The Happiness Hypothesis. I'm not going to remember who wrote it. Sorry, guys, but you can look it up. It's got a swimming elephant on it. And it talks about the components of how to be happy. And I want to give you guys that, that name of a book in this call, because also having a connection with something outside of people, whether it's purpose or meaning or nature or God or something that's bigger than we are, having that that connection allows us to be vulnerable and to open ourselves up to other people, because we know everything is going to be okay. And that, I think, is welcome back. I think is a really important part. So, so far, my 2 points: compartmentalize and be really focused and connected when you are in that segment of your day, whether it's personal, office, work, or social. And then check out Happiness Hypothesis. I think it's a great book that helps you build the components of your life that provide happiness for you. And happy person, then you already can surmount so many of the things that are bringing you down.
And I'm going to say those connections as a small business owner, they may not have to be in your industry. Some of my best connections are people outside of our industry, and building those and really getting that place where it takes work. I'm not going to lie, in professional, it's scheduling the weekly meeting where you're going to, even if it's a Zoom call, just being with those people and getting the familiarity level. Because where I talked about vulnerability before, you can't just, it's hard to walk in and just like, oh, here's all my problems. Yeah. The other people are going to look at you like, I don't want part of you. So you have to build that level of trust with one another that you can present those. But even a small group of just some other business owners that are local to you, can be a really valuable tool to just bounce ideas off of. I had a hiring decision the other day, and I picked up the phone and called 3 business owners that I have a great relationship with and just bounced something off of them, right? And once again, if I did not have that level of relationships, I would have really struggled with that decision and felt like I was on this island having to make a decision that was really hard. But with being able to reach out to them and having someone be like, no, you're on the right track, or here's how I would think about it, changes the challenges you're facing immensely, and it brings them down to manageable sizes. So I think really fostering those will make a big difference for you. In your industry, I think can be powerful as well, because they can teach you things that you would never learn otherwise, right? And you can work together to solve things and really make each business higher, and you can elevate each business individually.
Amy, do you have like a personal board of directors? Some people create those, whether it's formal or informal. Do you know what I mean? It's something people do, I've heard, so.
Yeah, I don't think I do. I know I don't. Like, we don't have a monthly meeting, go over the financials, all that kind of stuff. I want to jump onto what Jacob said about reaching out to people in your professional circle that are not accountants. When I first started, I was afraid. I wasn't afraid. I was hesitant to, like, I have awesome clients and a lot of people that have built incredible businesses that I can learn a lot from, but I was afraid to ask them any type of business questions because I was supposed to be the expert. And if I asked a question, they may think less of me. Did y'all talk about this when my computer crashed?
No, we did not. This is so true.
But I found that once that I did, it made our relationship as client, and it made us closer, because maybe they thought, oh, she thinks she knows everything, or oh, she's intimidating. Like, maybe they thought I knew more than I thought I did, whatever. But it actually made us better clients and friends to just say, hey, I got to fire somebody. How do you do that? Or I'm thinking about, whatever, something like that. I've never had to fire anybody, by the way.
But it's so true. I'll say one of my clients became one of my biggest mentors, right? Like, obviously they may not understand accounting, and they may not be the best person to figure out debits and credits or complex transaction things, but just as business experience and been through a lot that I can learn from immensely, that connection happened because I was willing to be asked some questions, right? And it's simply putting yourself out there and saying, I'm willing to ask the stupid question, right? And obviously there's always a saying that there is no stupid questions, but you may feel like you're asking the stupid question, but really it's showing that you want to learn, and people really buy into that a lot as well.
What about your connection with yourself? Is that a weird thing to bring up? Like, should people think about that every day?
Like how you're, like how you feel about you are in general, or your health, or is that what you're getting at?
Maybe. Okay, I think maybe I'm just coming up with an excuse to be able to shop for myself at the holidays. So people talk about maintaining your own spirit, you know.
Mm.
Sometimes when you serve everyone else all the time, you need to think about serving yourself, like taking yourself
Well, yeah,
out to
and-
get a new jacket.
Oh, it's lovely, by the way. So are you, Beth, are you one of those people that are like, do you get up and like, do you get up early and have your self time and your exercise and all of that before you sit down to work?
I do that in the early evening and late at night. I'm not an early bird. I'm like up at 8, out the door at 8:05 kind of person. Like I'm late as soon as I wake up, but I love the cricket hours coming it from the other side. Maybe because in college, that's the only time I ever saw daylight, was coming over it at like, people talk about daybreak, waking up for daybreak. I'd like still be awake for daybreak. Have not changed. So that's
You
when
are
I
who
have
you
my
are.
like Zen moments
Yeah.
where the earth is still, you know, like don't poets talk about that? But I think you got to tend to yourself
Yeah.
too, because if your mind's a total disaster area, you can't be connected into anyone else. I mean,
Well,
Plus-
and that comes back to your balance thing, right? Like
Yeah.
if you don't take care of yourself starts bleeding over to and infringing upon your work, your family time, your social, everything else, because you're not taking proper time for yourself, right? And it'll bleed over and it will destroy the balance on everything else. So you definitely have to take time for yourself as well there, and how you think about things and how you look at things, and do the reality check. And once again, I think those thought partners and those real relationships and connections can be a great check there, you know.
Mhm.
Trusting somebody enough to reach out and say, am I off my rocker here? Where am I at here? I need
And they
somebody
go,
who
yeah.
knows me well enough and I trust well enough to reveal those things and have that reality check.
And that's why you've got to have good circles beyond just like personal, because you can't exactly go home, bring work home to your partner and ask them questions about the right thing to do at the office for a few reasons. One, you're just going to poison home with some stress that you should have left at the door, but you may just really not want their advice anyway, because they don't know your experience. And some of the best things that you guys have taught me is to get over myself, because sometimes I blow these little tiny things up into being so big. Like I forget that my small company, like if I have a problem this big that seems this big to me, you guys are like, what? Just like clean it up and put it away. What's your deal? You know, that's why I love you guys. You're like,
But it's so true. And, you know, that's, you know, I had another entrepreneur reach out to me just about the balance in his own firm, right? And keeping that balance between, okay, leading a team, you know, serving his clients well, his customers well, and growing his business, right? And even in that balance, you have to maintain balance. And many times when you're in the weeds, it's hard to maintain that balance. And having somebody else you can look to, whether that's a coach, whether that's a mentor group, whether that's just friends in your industry that understand it and can help realign your balance and be like, here's what I'm facing. And just what you were saying there, when we blow things out of this proportion, because we all do that, you know, it's this issue because I'm facing right now is the biggest thing in the world, and we can't step back away from it enough. And somebody else is just like, you know, if you just pull this lever over here just a tiny bit, it's all solved. And you're like, all right, yeah, I was making that way too big.
so as I don't know, I think we're probably close to time, but my survival tips for me, audiobook, Time by Myself, where I'm listening to someone who is inspirational, uninterrupted family dinner, weekly chit chat with you guys, because you're so fun, in our Slack channel, which we could always talk about. I wonder what's going to happen now that Salesforce has purchased it. But those things are my keys to separation and sanity. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Glad to
You
have
guys
you.
have anything? Any tips? Takeaways? Anything?
It's a work in progress. So if you fail, don't feel bad about it, is what I'm going to say. Just strive to do better, right? And we all fail at it at times. And sometimes you're just like, I can't do it. Well, even when you fail, just get back up and keep working at it. And as Christmas is coming, make sure you take time to have that balance.
And if you're having a bad day, just hide behind your tree.
I want to be real in my comments and say that I can talk about balance all I want. But as soon as I feel balanced, I'm like, what is next? There's got to be something.
And that's the reality of it. You know, once you feel like you have it figured out, you know another shoe is going to drop and you're going to have to relearn it all again.
Or somebody misses a payroll.
Right, yeah.
and then you don't have it all together.
Right.
That doesn't happen to us. Again, does not happen to us. But no, I think, okay, and we all need to strive to be better humans, and sometimes habits that are not native to us make us better humans. But Beth, I'm like you, and I hit the ground in the morning, I am working and running, and that's a fatal flaw, and it's been there for a long time for me, that I cannot turn it off. I've been with y'all at conferences, and we're talking about stuff, doing stuff, and I am thinking about work. And my friends will have to pull me in. Somebody will say, why are you doing the tax return over there, or the sales tax return? Be present. So
I remember that. I remember that day.
Very hard.
We had to put you on a scooter to get you to focus on where
I
you
can't
were.
say anything. I'm the same way. And that's why I say it's always a work in progress, right? And I think that's your business owner journey, is it's always a work in progress, and we'll never have everything figured out. And you just step in and you keep working at it every day. And that's how you grow a business and become
Or get a prescription for medication.
Yeah.
Works for me.
And your friends will keep you sane. Doing this by yourself is not recommended. Your friends,
very much.
your accounting friends will keep you sane.
So.
And humble.
That's for sure.
All right, we'll wrap it up for today. Thank you all for joining us as we close out. I'm Jacob Schrader. You can find me on social, on Twitter, Jacob B. Schrader. Amy?
We're at walkeragency.us, WA1KER agency.us.
And Be MoneyFit, BE Money Fit with an F. You can find me on Facebook and on Instagram with that handle at Be MoneyFit.
Thanks to everybody for joining us today.